Hello and welcome to another DataPath training video. In this session, we'll begin our review of the MyRSC website hosted by DataPath Inc. The MyRSC website is the web portal that hosts information for TPAs, employers, and employees based on data that's entered in and uploaded from our distributed systems. Those distributed systems include the DataPath 105, DataPath 125, DataPath 132, and DataPath Cobra premium billing systems. Once that data is uploaded, then access can be provided to those different entities I mentioned, the TPAs, employers, and employees, and different things can be configured, such as how to enter in online claims, configure personal information changes and what is required and what is maybe optional fields when people are uploading or updating their personal information, such as demographics, or even being able to just view and look at employees' claim and payment information and run various reports. So first, I'm just going to do this quick overview of the different options and layout of the website. You'll see that you'll have options across the top. You'll have tabs for services, clients, a tab for the My Source Card if you offer it, HSAs if you have this product, premium billing, and also some reporting options here as well. Over here on the right, you'll be able to see which group or which TPA entity you are logged in with, along with the ability to change roles within the system, update passwords, log in and out, and also again see descriptions of your roles that you're logged in with. Starting with the Services tab, we'll begin here, and this is primarily going to be the information for your distributed systems for HRAs, FSAs, as well as 132. You'll also be able to do some configurations on those different products that tie into that information that can be viewed online. But at its most basic, the aggregate status report is basically an overview of all of the claims and payments and accounts that are entered into the admin systems and uploaded to the website through the transfer client. You can choose your different lines of service, and for this I have the DataPath 105 HRA information, and also I'll have information here from DataPath 125 for my FSAs and dependent care benefits. I can choose my different employers. I only have my sample company in here, but you would see multiple employers that have been uploaded through here. Choose them, and depending on which or how many plan years you've been doing administration for them, you'll see your different plan years listed here as well. And then you'll have options to include or exclude terminated employees. Now, again, depending on which benefit you select, the screens may look a little bit different and provide different types of fields and columns here, depending on which information is available. So by choosing my HRA benefits, you'll see that I can look at all benefits, or I can look at one or the other, depending on what I want to view at the time. Now, this is an employer overview. I have not broken down into the employee accounts yet, but from an employer account balance perspective, we can see what the total annual benefit is that's available or offered by both benefits. If there's any type of accrual-based HRAs, those will be listed. Year-to-date claims that have been sent in, what's been paid out, current balances available. Also, depending on whether or not you're uploading MERP information or just straight HRA, we'll have additional information for discounts, other types of amounts or approved amounts. In addition to what applies to the HRA out-of-pockets, if applicable, what the employee's out-of-pocket is, and if there's anything and what the balances are for the employer. Also, if there's any carryover balances applicable to your HRAs, you'll see those listed here as well. For your FSAs, your balances will look a little bit different. Selecting my employer, and again, my plan years. You'll see my FSA medical and dependent care benefits are listed and have similar types of balances as you would see them from your admin systems. You would see annual elections, year-to-date claims, contributions or deposits withheld, how much in claims have been paid, if you're using $500 carryover, how much has been reduced and how much has been paid out overall. All of these benefits you can break down into for both the HRAs and also for 125 and 132 benefits. Simply click the link next to each benefit that you want to see, and you'll see the breakdown for the employees. So using the exact same fields I saw on the employer level, I'll see the breakdown for the employees as well. And looking at each of these, I can see how much has been paid out, how much has been applied, and again, if they've been terminated, I'll see those balances over on the side as well. So again, just taking a look at my different balances here and seeing what I do have available. We can then start breaking down into these different accounts to get individual employee details. Now, all of these balances and most of the details that we'll see on these screens here are what the employee and the employer would see as well. Now, the employee would see a little bit more information than the employer based on privacy and HIPAA reasons. We would not show certain things like claim service descriptions or provider information. But based on the entry into our DataPath GCP system, we would definitely see that Daniel Adams has had claims entered in, and we would key them into against the FSA benefit with these dates of service, these amounts, and anything that's been paid to date and or marked for denial. So if they see the denial, they'll see this here. However, on the employee side, they would see a little bit more detail in regards to the denial reasons. Now, there are no payments on his account, so we're missing that information down here towards the bottom. Going back up here to the top, let me locate an employee that's had some payments issued. Then for the 125, let me go back and let's take a look at the 105 benefits, the HRAs for my sample group. And again, see what kind of payments I have. So looking down here, the HRA benefit's a little bit different in that if you have embedded HRAs, you'll see more of an employee and claimant breakdown based on the claims that have been submitted and what has been applied for each family member towards the whole of their HRA. Again, down here, we'll see, again, that same information, claim information here, service dates, claim amount, and what has been paid on those different claims. We'll also see reimbursement information down here at the bottom. So, as we'll see this, we'll see the different claim numbers that made up this check that was issued to the employee for a little over $1,900. Now, I could match up these claim numbers and try to find them off the list here, but a quicker way is to click the details, and I can see that same detail grouped together to say these 4 or 5 claims with these service dates were what made up this overall payment that was issued out as a check. The same thing would occur if it was a payment made via ACH or direct deposit to the employee. You would actually see the payment type show direct deposit. You would also see paybacks, memos that were for debit card payments, things like that, also listed based on your different conditions and criteria. You can also use search options as well. So as I'm searching for different employees, I do have the ability, for example, looking at our 125 benefits for sample company. And I'm just going to view all benefits. I do have the ability to search by last name or by SOC into these fields here, so I don't have to just scroll through a large list to find somebody. And once I have their details up, I can also download the balances. So I do have spreadsheets that can be exported out of the system. I can view a certain number of records or get all records if I wish. So keep in mind that these filter options are available at the top. And of course, information here, they can print a printer-friendly version of this information as well to get their details. So that's the aggregate status report in a nutshell. This is probably one of the most commonly used features within the website. And again, it just gives a breakdown of the employees, employers, and participant, or excuse me, and from a TPA view of the site. Now, keep in mind that the employees and employers have these same features as well, but of course, each one's narrowed down a little bit further down the tier level as you go. So an employer would not see nearly the same or as much information as a TPA. They would only see their information with a little bit of limitation, and the employees would only be able, of course, to see theirs, but they would still have an aggregate status report that shows the same information, but just their specific data. The calculators is a handy tool to use if you're just trying to market and sell an employee on an idea of a tax savings benefit like an FSA. Then it might be easier to kind of walk them through a very simple type of calculator here. So for the state of Arkansas, for example, and our 6.9% tax rate here, let's just say that you're bringing home $4,500 a year, and you have maxed out the full FSA dependent care benefit for $5,000. Let's say that you're paying $1,500 in premiums, and also you have out of pocket, you wanted to elect an FSA medical benefit for your medical, dental, and vision expenses for the max of $2,700. And what this does just gives you a very simple side-by-side comparison that if you had your income and everything taxed after these expenses, this is what your net take home would be. But if you had a cafeteria plan and you had these expenses pre-taxed out, then your net income is more, which means you are only taxed on this amount versus this higher amount here. And this is your estimated potential annual savings, just simply by having an FSA plan in place. Again, this is just a very simple calculator. It's not meant to be a full-blown tax calculator for budgeting or anything like that. But again, more of a marketing tool just to let people know what they could be saving with these tax-preferred types of benefits. The document manager allows you to upload individual documents for a group of employers or employees, as well as upload one-off documents for specific groups. So for example, if you want to upload a cafeteria plan or an FSA related document, like a plan document, for example, then you can add folders that are employer specific, and then add the documents here by using the options available on the side here. You can update the layouts by adding new employer folders, or you can assign documents on a global level simply by applying or assigning files of your own desire here. Selecting slots or categories which can be configured. Upload a DataPath default file or upload your own file, associating it with whatever employers you want, or employees if you need to change it for different demographics of employees. Additional links to upload your documents here. Once they're here, the employees and employers, when they log in, will be able to access and download whatever documents you want. The documents you can upload range from Word documents, spreadsheets, PDF files, and even zip files. You do want to keep the files kind of small for access sake. You don't want to put a 100 meg file for somebody to download. You do want to keep those rather lean and keep them with a small file size. But cafeteria plans, HRA documents, HSA documents, COBRA, and 132, you can upload documents specific to each of these benefit plans to be accessed. Additionally, you can use our OMS, a DataPath OMS application, which is a document fulfillment application to push documents that you would normally generate out to MyRSC as well, of which can be uploaded to specific employers and employees. So for example, if you have an employer that requests that you send a payment register to them twice a month, you can set it up on a schedule from within your admin system through OMS, and it will automatically generate your documents on a schedule and upload them to the website. So instead of having somebody waste their time and resources, taking time out of the day to remember to push these documents out to these employers whenever they've requested them, then you can go ahead and set them up on a scheduler or push them up on demand. So that way they are accessible to the employers 24/7 on the website without having to basically manually babysit it and push and email documents. I'm sure everyone's gone through the process of having to generate a document, save it to a PDF, attach it to an email, maybe attach it securely, upload it, and hope that you uploaded the right report to the right employee when you emailed it and didn't pick the wrong person. By doing this, only those authorized individuals see that information. Again, it can be ran on a schedule, so that way you're not having to do it one-off. And also, it's on a secure portal as well, and these reports are accessible from that point forward. So again, this is a very handy feature to use within the Document Manager. Now, Fulfillment Manager is slightly different in that you can use these filter options here to locate documents that have been mailed out. With our partner SourceOne, we use them as a document fulfillment, primarily for premium billing and COBRA purposes. For qualifying events, we send out election notices and other required information and mail those to the individuals. So the fulfillment is specifically for mailed pieces of letters, reports, documents that have been sent out. Again, through OMS, you can search for those documents that have been mailed and be able to pull those up, view them, and see who they were sent out for, as well as other options as well. So again, fulfillment, again, allows you to see mailed documents that have been sent out through our fulfillment service. DataPath also offers EFT services. So we operate like a bank and clearinghouse in that respect, in that you can create direct deposit files for FSA, HRA, and 132 reimbursements within our admin systems and use the MyRSC website as a TPA to upload information or upload those direct deposit files as you would typically a bank for payroll, and then we'll ensure those funds are distributed into the employee accounts. This gives you a set of options to simply upload your EFT files. So as you create your file within cache management of our applications, once that file is created, you just simply go out to the designated file location, select it, and then upload it. Now, as it gets processed, we do send back notifications regarding insufficient funds if we try to pull from an employer account that doesn't have enough money in it, or if the routing number that was provided or account number was closed, then we would get additional messages as it's uploaded to the bank to be processed. So this is a very handy feature to be able to keep track of direct deposit files and have tools to be able to manage and ensure that information's uploaded correctly and that there are no returns. That we also have contact information, so that way we know who to reach out to if there are any questions or issues with the uploads, and other maintenance options. But this is a service, again, that DataPath Inc. provides to our TPAs. If they do not already have a relationship with the bank, then we have some good service prices to offer and offer this service. The invoicing option, I won't go into this because this is actually tied to our billing, is for our TPAs that gives breakdowns of how many employees have active lives for FSAs, HRAs, 132, as well as in what we would invoice from a vendor perspective for fulfillment, pieces of mailing, RSC usage, things like that. So basically the line items that we would bill to a TPA and invoice them, you would actually be able to see the counts and the breakdowns from the MyRSC invoicing option. I'll skip settings because, or actually I'll mention settings here, but on the grander scheme, the settings options here basically sets when you log out, which website do you wish to use as your exiting landing page. So if you want this to go to your corporate website, you can. But what I really wanted to say was that we do provide login scripts that can be used to generate a custom login to MyRSC. But instead of going to the MyRSC website and asking your employees or employers to log in, the script allows you to create login, forgot your password options, and that basically create a block that can be posted or incorporated into your own corporate website. So that way, instead of having employees go to myrsc.com, you can have them go to abcemployer.com, and they would have options. They would have options there to log into MyRSC. So we create basically a username, password, information that can be used from any web portal. So instead of defaulting to our site, it gives them more of a custom look and feel, custom colors, fonts, things like that, and descriptions of the site that makes them feel more at home and not feel like they're being passed around through multiple vendors. Managerial reports basically are useful reports that a TPA can run to look at trending type of processes, such as seeing how much of total card transactions were auto-substantiated versus having to be manually substantiated, or how many claims were based on paper claims versus card transactions. So things like that allow a TPA to see if they're getting bang for their buck, or find out if there's trends that may show ineffective or inefficient processes, or a lack of education to their employees that they do administration for, to see whether or not they can tighten it up a little bit. If we are finding that we are manually substantiating more paper claims, 80% more than we are, dealing with a debit card, then we might want to get some more automation and get some more literature out there to the employees to let them know, hey, did you know that you have a MySource card that can pay for these things? So that way, instead of having to, again, overtask your resources, your claim entry people, your customer service, your account managers, and so on, you can get some automation in the system and really see where those trends are. So these provide comparison reports, charts, pie charts, line graphs, things like that, in order to compare the usage and activity of claims, cards, website usage, online claims, and things like that. So that way, again, you can improve and make your services more effective and efficient. Personal information changes allows you to make changes for employees online. Now, this is actually a little more beneficial for the employer roles as well as the employee roles, because the TPA has access to a full administration system like 105 or 125 to update this information. However, these are what the employer employees also have specifically for themselves to allow them to update demographics. So for example, if I wanted to do a new transaction, a new personal information change, drilling down into this a little bit, I can pull up this employer. An employer would see this list initially. They wouldn't have an employer selection, but they'd see all their employees. So whenever an employee updates their address because they move or something needs to be corrected, they can select that employee, click next, and simply update their demographics. This information downloads into your admin systems. So by keeping the website up to date, it will also update the systems that you work in day to day. Once you've made your changes, click next, and there can be an approval process, and this can also be configured whether or not the TPA needs to approve it or the employer needs to approve it ahead of time. Employees have the same option as well, but they would go straight into their account and update it. So it's not necessarily a requirement for the employees to have to reach out to their TPA to say, hey, I have a new mailing address. Can you go ahead and update it in your system? Or there's no real need to update the TPA or the employer using a specific form unless required, because it can be done online and everybody shares in this information. So again, this is a very handy tool, handy option to keep personal information changes, demographics primarily updated across all the systems. Event notifications are primarily the subscriptions to the emails and messages that are offered out to the employers as well as the employees. So to manage your subscriptions, we would go into event notifications, manage global employer and employee settings. Now again, because I'm logged in as a TPA, I'm going to see a lot more than an employer or an employee would from their levels. We can show the different types of notifications that are activated. Do we want to receive an email whenever there's an employee reimbursement? Never, or only view it online. So when I log in, I would automatically get a pop-up that says that there's EFT or direct deposit reimbursements. Or if we're dealing with HSAs, there's several different notifications, as you can see here. Online claims. Do you want the employee, here's your audience, that are your recipient of the notifications, whenever they save or submit their claim, do you want them to receive a claim received email or claim not received or a fax received if you have our fax services? These are subscriptions that are basically turned on already by default, but you can say never, always, or default yes or no and give them the choice. Sometimes you want to remove the choice and say no, they always get the notification, or they never get the notification. Or if you have it set for subscriber, then we can default it to no, but the subscriber can change it to yes if they want to. So you give them that choice. You can also manage the different email messages. And I always recommend this for new customers, to review all the email messages that we allow you to edit and customize to make sure that they're worded and tailored specific to your specific needs. But all of the email editors are done online here, so we can choose our audience of what type of notifications we're looking at. Let's talk about the employee level notifications. Well, which employee notifications are available? We have our EFT notifications for direct deposits, fulfillment. If they have HSAs, we can look at those and customize them, premium billing, online claims, and so on. Let's go ahead and just leave it on EFT. And what's the event? Well, there's only one notification that goes out that has anything to do with our EFT services, and that's, hey, you have a reimbursement. The default setting is for one employer, but you can customize it on a group employer level or customize it on an employer by employer basis. Here's the subject of the email that they would receive, so this can be customized. You can default it to where, again, you could choose whether they always receive it or give them the option to opt out of receiving the notifications. And you also have your reply address. The reply address is important because this is when they hit reply upon receiving it, who is going to be their customer service rep. Now, these have to be changed in that emails that go out to the participants are not going to go to DataPath Inc. or to this generic email of info@myrsc.com. They would go to sampletpa.com or benefits superior benefits administrator.net or whatever, or customer service at tpa.com, those types of things. So when they hit reply, this is basically going to be your customer service of who is going to receive these emails. So that way there's somebody that can respond should that participant or the employer have questions. And of course, you can use the customization tools here to update the actual notification as well. These fields right here that are in these little chevrons, the little arrows here, are merge fields. So you do have available merge fields listed here that are available. You can rearrange them, move them around any way that you want. And you can simply have those to where they merge in the employee name, the employer, amounts, times, things like that. So different email notifications, depending on what the audience is and what the message is, may have different merge fields and different configuration options. But again, you have the ability to customize virtually most of the different email notifications that MyRSC can generate for your different audiences. Online claims settings. If you have our online claims service, this allows you to merge in different fields that will be presented back on the employee end whenever they log into the website and upload and enter their claims. You'll see basically customer service numbers. If there's questions, days for notifications. So this sets off triggers within the system, and it gives you a description of which each of these options are. Here's a certification statement. So whenever an employee completes a claim online, this is the statement that they'll have to certify at the bottom. And then you have troubleshooting links. When they hover over different types of question marks from the claim entry screens, they'll have the ability here to update and put in different types of text. So you can either keep our default, or if you want to be a little more descriptive with the different instructions to help them with the claim entry process, you have the ability to customize these different options and of course save your changes. Now, if you have employees that are emailing or faxing to a different location, or they send you the paper claims in the mail rather than using the online services or our GCP fax services, the way that you can get those back into the system, because they're coming to you outside of MyRSC, they're coming to you outside the DataPath systems. So if you have our online claim services or faxes, you can take these PDFs or scans that are coming in from the employees outside of the system and upload them. So that way they come into the same queues as the online claims are. So this is a handy option to take those different claims and get them into the system, so that way they can be processed just like every other inbound claim information. That pretty much covers what I want to look at for the services tab. The clients tab is used more for configuration on the website. So for example, if we have our employers that have been uploaded listed here, you can configure the different options that you want them to have available. DataPath customer support has a guide that is provided that will tell you what each of these different options are. So if your group has cafeteria plans, you would check off the different options you want them to have for that service, as well as all these other configuration options. Enhanced payment history, event notifications. Maybe you want them to be able not have access to change their service notifications. The document manager, do you want them to have access to the documents? Are you going to be uploading documents for them to see? Maybe you just want to hide that feature altogether. HRAs, maybe they don't have HRAs, so we want to deselect these options because we don't want them to actually see them at all, because it's not a service that's provided. Same with HSAs. Maybe they opted to have the card, so we want to make sure that's option. So that way they see all their tabs and features associated with those options. You can also optionally upload a company logo. So if they give you a JPEG or another type of image that you want to do for a sample company, for example, I uploaded this for sample company to kind of give it a little bit more look and feel for that employer. So that way when they or their employees log in, they'll see a little bit of customizations and see some familiarity. And you can also update the primary and secondary colors that they see when they log in. Now, if you don't do any type of customizations, whatever TPA colors, logo, and setup that you have here, that's what will default to the employers and employees when they log in. But just to let you know, there's some additional configuration options that are used to turn on or turn off features for new customers. Now you can do that one employer at a time, or you can manage it through the managed lines of service, which allows you to pick a service and it gives you a list of all the employers, for example. Maybe I want to see everybody that has our cafeteria plan administration, all my employers. And for each of these groups, this is what's turned on and what's not turned on. So again, I can use these select all features to check everything to make sure that all of the options that are associated with cafeteria plans are all selected at once. So again, it allows you to customize what an employer and employee can see online through the use of configure view clients or managed lines of service. Now, to view it, a site from the employer's point of view, what we've been looking at right now is just looking at the website from an employer or from a TPA point of view. But if you want to see exactly what the employer sees on their side, so that way if you have an employer call and you need to help them or navigate them through a particular spot on their screen, what you can do is you can select the employer from the client's manage client drop down. and then view the client site. This is the employer view of MyRSC, and you can see they have very similar options based on what you turn off and turn on, but it's more condensed, specific to that employer. So that way, again, if they call you and need help getting to a certain screen or report, then you have options to be able to log in and see the same things that they do. And then you just click back to TPA site and it brings you back home. You do have the ability to update the navigation tabs and rename them if you choose, or rearrange them in certain ways. So using the customization tabs, you can do that for your employer or TPA roles. You can also edit web page content, and I definitely recommend doing this for, say, the employer homepage or employee homepages. So that way, when they log in, for example, and you can customize the home pages globally for all employers or customize them on an employer by employer basis. You can customize these using the editors here. So that way, when they log into the website, that home page that they log into has a little bit more look and feel of, and provides more information. So you can update these and save them as different templates. So you can create an enrollment type of home page, say, hey, it's now enrollment season, open enrollment is upon us, go see your HR, get these forms, or download them from this website. Whatever you want to customize this for, you'll be able to update the text, add hyperlinks to different outside sites, things like that. So that way, your employees or employers, when they log in, see a little bit more on the site based on what you want them to see. Next, we'll look at being able to log in as an employee. So again, as a TPA, part of your job is to provide customer service to your employees, clients that you do administration for. So if they call you, you can either log in as them through their social or their last name, for example. Let's see, let's go ahead and log in as employee Ross. Now, when I do my search, all the employees by that name or the social will pop up, and I can see that this employee not only has an employee role, but they're also the HR for their group as well. So I can log in as either role if I need to, but as an employee, I can log in here, and I also have the ability to reset their login. Now, you can never see what their login to the site is. So when they reset it, they can actually reset this from the home page themselves. There is a forgot username and password process that they can do just like other sites do. But if they are absolutely a hopeless cause and you need to be able to reset them because they can't navigate the site, then you do have the ability to reset them here. But you can also log in as this employee. They'll have a role selection potentially if they have multiple roles. And now I'm logged in as the employee. Now, from this site, I'll be able to drill down into the activity that exactly as the employee would see. Of course, the only thing difference is they won't see this back to TPA site, of course. But I can drill down into the account and see what they have. So if they're trying to explain to me, hey, when I'm on this screen, I'm looking at this and this, and you're trying to ask them questions, trying to find out exactly where they're at or what they're looking at. Yes, you could look at this from a TPA view, but sometimes you gotta look at it from the vantage point of that participant just because it does look a little bit different, or they may see something that is different. The employer would never be able to log in as an employee. This is only a TPA available function. So again, this helps your customer service be able to see the screens and accounts from their vantage point, so that way you can provide good quality service. Logging back in. All right. Again, from our Clients tab, we do have additional options here for being able to maintain your HRs. You do have the ability to assign your own HR contacts. So as a TPA, you are dealing with specific individuals, the payroll people, the benefit coordinator, the HRs, things like that, with the employers themselves. But by doing that, you're going to give them access to the website in most cases to be able to perform certain types of functions on the site. So that way, the employer handles their own level of administration and support from their end. One of the things that you'll be able to also do is maintain the list of the employers within the system. That means your HR contacts, your direct employer contacts are given access to the website, whereas you can remove their access or grant them access accordingly. So as you have your contacts leave the company, you don't want to allow them to continue having access to the site, so you'll want to maintain those. So from here, I'm going to select Ross, just so you can see from an illustration perspective that he has two roles. Now, there is activity associated with this one, or so the system gave me a message, but you can see it's been inactivated. So if Chris Ross logs into the system, he'll have only the access to his employee role. You'll be able to see from a TPA vantage point that the employer did have access, but it's been inactivated. So you know that this was an HR with access to MyRSC at some point in time. But you can assign additional access by assigning Human Resource Administrator to that employer. Select the employer, and then of course, save after you verify the information. And then they would have additional roles added. You can set up an employer with multiple roles to multiple employers if that is necessary, or you can assign them as TPAs. Now, you're not going to assign a third-party administrator access to your employers, but maybe you're doing administration for your own company as a TPA, sample TPA. You may be doing administration for your own employees. Well, as you have account managers that handle employer cases, they may be a participant on your company's HRA or FSA or whatnot, and you want to assign them third-party access. So this is something that you can also do without DataPath stepping in and having to do the assignments. If you're doing your own group admin, then you can control access as well to your TPAs within your own organization or to your HRs by assigning and unassigning the roles. I'll cover this in another session, but just to give you an overview, we do have the My Source Card tab, which provides additional options of viewing, maintaining, and performing certain functions from a TPA perspective for the My Source Card that's issued out to your employers and employees. So you'll be able to use this tab and the host of options here to maintain that activity. Also, if you have our HSA platform, you'll be able to, as a TPA, be able to click on HSAs to be able to manage your HSA accounts. So new applications, contributions and such, by accessing the HSA Manager Control Panel, you'll be able to access those additional features for HSAs to do your admin. If you have our COBRA or premium billing software, there is a whole host of options here that is also available to where you can view individuals that are in a qualified beneficiary status, those that are actually on COBRA, or those that have turned off of it, either from non-payment or that they've hit their 18 months. You can also, from an employer perspective, employers can go online as well and initiate qualifying events, which again downloads into your admin systems, giving the employer a level of control to your website to be able to initiate qualifying events, to start triggering off the timeline in which supersedes the COBRA duration, if you will. And of course, we have some additional reporting options as well. If you offer 1099 services for MERP benefits that require it, if you are a TPA that offers that, this allows you to take the data based on your administration in the HRA system, if you have MERPs, and allow you to upload that information here. And it also allows you to upload electronically to the IRS your 1099 miscellaneous rather than having to deal with paper specifically. So we do offer these reporting services as well as MSP reporting. And MSP reporting is Medicare secondary payer. So if you have a qualifying HRA that's tied to your health plan, there are a certain set of requirements from a TPA and employer's perspective to offer this MSP service to those individuals, so that way it can be flagged up on the site for Centers for Medicare and Medicaid. So that way they're flagged if they are, could be potentially flagged if they're double dipping into their Medicare benefits, but also have a health plan with a sponsoring employer. So these particular services, reporting services, we do offer as miscellaneous services that's tied in with MyRSC, but also primarily tied in with your DataPath 105 system as well. So this concludes our overview of the MyRSC website, and thank you, and join us again for our next session.